Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel and you want landed on my page for whatever reason it may be, looking for answers or just seeking tips, advice, or whatever it may be, I welcome you all with no prejudgment or anything like this of that matter. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness versus sharing my life stories with Asperger's syndrome and everything else that comes under that umbrella of Asperger's syndrome, along with basically tips and advice, as well as also not just tips and advice, but doing some mental health videos along the way. So some of the tips and advice, as I said, will be based on my training and life experiences in general versus just how I manage things in my everyday lifestyle. I also do some encouragement of some videos for you all of whatever it may be, so that you guys know and know how to go about it, as well as also just another heads up of some motivational messages regardless, so that can give you some hope, clarity and understanding to why life is maybe down and out for you or whatever it may be. So I'm your girl, obviously, to try to support you as much as possible for whatever it may be. So if you're following me right now, I'm doing a few of the mental health series, and hopefully, and along with these mental health series along the way, I'm hoping to basically share out what I know based on my experiences and whatnot. But just to give you the lowdown, I'm no medical doctor. I'm basically just a normal everyday Joe blogs, basically just to share with you all my life experiences and my life journey of my condition and whatnot, as well as also in the long run, if you see any signs and symptoms that coexist in any of these form of nature of these mental health videos that I give out to you, seek professional help or seek an opinion for yourself or for your loved one. So no further ado, guys, basically these ones are based on some of the myths and misconceptions. I'm going to be based on the postpartum depression versus the PMS, premenstrual syndrome. So basically this one's going to be, for the first one, obviously the myths and misconceptions of postpartum depression. So let's begin this. As we know, basically there has always been some stigma and stereotyping about mental health of any kind of the mental health disorders that is available around us, regardless what it be. And also there has been some misunderstanding to the whys and what ifs of why it's happening and what's the actual main causes of it all. Basically, with these misunderstandings, obviously, of these mental illnesses can lead to obviously negative implications such as prejudice, mistreatments or maltreatments. But I'm here to debunk most of these myths and misconceptions so that we can have a better understanding, clarity to what it's all about of all these mental illnesses, so that hopefully that in the long run that we don't have to be in the way of things. So let's go with this. Myth number one for the postpartum depression is having PPD makes me a bad mother. Yes, 9 times out of 10 we may hear from females that suffers from this, maybe having in their self-conscious thought that may think that they shouldn't have children. Some may think that something is totally wrong with them, regardless what it may be. They may think to themselves, there's something wrong with me, I can't do this, I shouldn't have the glue and feel excited about this. They may feel guilty, trapped and everything, but you got to remember this is a wrong way of thinking. This is so not true. Having postpartum depression has a lot to do with the chemical imbalances in the brain, like anything else of the mental illnesses that we may be going through in our everyday life. Obviously, in psychology, however, basically everything is a theory of some kind, as we know. We can't, cut a human's brain that's actually working, hypothetically speaking here, and see what's actually going on inside the brain. Because obviously, if we cut out the brain or just try to remove the brain to see what's going on, obviously you're losing out the most important factors of what the brain does. But we know that in a given, when having a baby, basically, the hormones will tend to shift along and have many fluctuations that make us feel on the above symptoms that I've mentioned. If you haven't watched it, I suggest that, of the postpartum depression. And all it means, though, however, is that you really need to just reach out for help and support, because we know if we get support early and talk about it early, it can be easy managed and easy to cope with. When having a baby in depression, two hormone drops, which is your estrogen and progesterone, obviously. So we need to keep our hormone levels in balance and check and everything else in between. Myth number 2: postpartum depression. Having it will make us emotional and crying all the time and just can't take care of ourselves or the baby. Again, the truth of the matter is PPD doesn't always presents itself, obviously. As I said, as an onset or ongoing. It comes on and off in certain stages while pregnant or before pregnancy, depending on the female, obviously. And obviously, it doesn't always present itself in the form of sadness, crying, being lethargic. For most people, they may feel other symptoms that I've suggested, such as agitation, irritability, anxiousness, feeling violence. It doesn't look and feel one way, however. If any of the symptoms that I've mentioned earlier presents or shows, I can't stress it enough, seek a professional provider like a doctor or a counsellor or mental health person, whoever it may be, because obviously getting help sooner rather than later is the key, and it's better to get the treatment that we so need regardless of it all. Myth number 3: PPD will go away or disappear over time if we choose to ignore it. Again, this isn't true, but wouldn't it be nice if it disappeared just like that, by the snap of the fingers, along with it happening with other disorders that we suffer from, of these mental illnesses, or not suffer from, but just go through in our personal struggles. Waving that magic wand, saying abracadabra, disappear. Hey presto, it's gone, No, that's not 100% true. It would be nice if it was, but it's all about basically knowing what's best fit for us all, managing it and treating it in the way of it all. For what's the word I'm looking for? Postpartum depression, obviously, this can turn into chronic depression if it's not treated early. Like I said, the earlier the better, the prevention and treatment for us. And most mothers will feel terrible having it. And you may say, get over it, it's just a phase. So go back to the misconception number 1 to rule out, and they won't tell anybody, is they're feeling ashamed of it all, because obviously at the end of the day, as I said, for all these people saying that it's just a phase, and it's it's not 100% true, because obviously, as I said before, some of these everyday mental health disorders do stick with us for life. It's all about managing and treating as best way as we could. It's all in the state of mind, however, for us all too, that goes through our mental illnesses, if we want to actually fight it or choose to just let it overrule our life to the point that we can't control it anymore. Basically, it's also in a way of just thinking to ourselves, do we want to continue living this path, or do we want to actually pick up the pieces and actually go from there? Anyway, misconception number 4 is postparental depression, or PPD, I'm going to shorten it down to, happens immediately after childbirth or the child is born. Again, this is not 100% true. You may experience the baby blues, however, which is another form of depression or what have you, or just a common last 2-3 days after the giving birth. Obviously this will happen. It usually ends 2 weeks after giving birth, however. It gives the body time to regenerate, replenish itself, as well as hopefully the hormones of it all dropping in a sense. PPD, however, happens after 2 weeks and within a year of having a child, though. You've got to be in mind. Again, it will be all about treating and managing it in the best way possible. Last but not least, of the myths that I could think of was PPD is all my fault. Now, we hear people say this time and time again about certain mental illnesses that they go through, that it's their fault, that something's wrong with them, that obviously, they feel that they could have done better. They put the self-negativity on themselves, the self-doubt in themselves. Some of them may think that they deserve it, because it's a self-reflection on them of maybe some wrongdoings that they've done, so it's some form of punishment for them. But then again, I'll say this, it's not 100% true. We got to remember though, it's not our fault. It's like, obviously we know that our hormones basically are shifting around, changing in our body, regardless of the chemical imbalances, be it of some of the importances of some of those neurotransmitter of those hormones, be it the estrogen, the progesterone, and everything else that helps keeps the balance of the body. Obviously, yes, having a baby can be stressful, and after having the baby, you know, comes the responsibility of looking after it for life, or not for life as such, but to a degree of a certain lifespan, basically. Obviously, yes, you'll often become sleep deprived, you know, getting up in the mornings or late at nights, attending to your child's need when it's crying, wanting with the cries through it, or pooping, weeing, or feeding, or whatever it may be. But there are red flags and warning signs to PPD. Okay, they are very common, obviously. But as I said before, knowing the signs, symptoms, the causes, the triggers of it all, basically, can then slowly get rid of some of the misconceptions that people tend to think about of postpartum depression and every other mental illness. Well, that basically ends the one of postpartum depression, the myths and misconceptions, demolishing it. Give me the likes for thumbs up for support. Comment below if I missed out any misconceptions. Maybe you can choose to find some, or just write down the ones that you hear of and get sick tired of, and maybe just clarify to us, or you know, why you don't like it, and how you go about these misconceptions and myths that you hear about all of these everyday mental illnesses. So I'm opening the floorboard here for discussion. Feel free to, you know, say hello or whatever it may be on the bottom of my, you know, comments as well, just to let me know the heads up that you actually are engaging with me. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites, Twitter and Facebook, AspieAnswersAll. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Like I said, hopefully we'll do this on the daily or weekly, depending on my schedules and whatnot of what's planned in place. Feel free to, like I said, share these videos around, because at the end of the day, we should be learning from each other, regardless what it is, regardless of how it is with us too, because obviously we need to learn from each other, obviously. And like I've noticed that, you know, many people tend to just, you know, prejudge and do everything regardless what it may be. So enough of it, guys. Thanks for the support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out. I'll see you again.